Yeah. So
Wes Durham, ACC Network, joining us here on the OG. All right, so I think the further we get away from Saturday's game in Death Valley, and Lauren Brownlow and I talked about this in the most recent ACC Panic Room, the more I think it was about Clemson than it was about NC State.
I agree. Yeah.
I think Clemson answered a lot of questions that we had back in July, that DJ Uyungale's play has improved, and they're clearly in the college football playoff contention. Can they win it all? I don't know. But I do think there was a little bit of a restoring of order for Dabo that we saw on Saturday as they have effectively wrapped up the Atlantic Division.
Well, and let's remember now, a month ago we were having the how much longer is DJU going to quarterback conversation.
Right.
I mean, we were ready to put Connor Klubnik up there, or Cade Klubnik, or whatever the kid's name is, now that I've forgotten a month later. Cade Klubnik. We were ready to put that kid on the, on the statue with Thomas Green Clemson himself. So, I mean, the idea that, DJ Uiagalelei has had, in my opinion, 3 really good games, and I would even throw, another one in there, Furman, for good measure here. I think the guy has continued to ascend to where he and really Jordan Travis have entered a conversation that none of us expected either player to be in when the year began. And let's be honest, Brennan Armstrong has probably fallen out of that conversation just based on the trials and tribulations. And I could argue that the car crash that is Boston College's offense, Phil Jurkovec, has also slipped out of that conversation. But that all being said, give Clemson more credit. It's nothing against NC State, okay? I mean, Gilio, you were there. You saw the environment, and Clemson was ready for those cats when they came down the hill. And, they made life tough on NC State. And when Clemson wants to turn it up and remind everybody we're still here, they can do that, and they showed it, I thought, on Saturday night a little bit.
Well, the only thing I would say that would be against NC State was I didn't love the way that they attacked Clemson's defense. And there's only so much you can do. Let's be clear. When you can't block the 4 guys in front of you, life becomes difficult. And I don't want to turn the whole entire loss into a Tim Beck is not good at his job discussion, okay?
Right.
But I do think there are better ways for NC State to go about the people that they do have. And if Demi Sumo Karngbae is hurt, then they need to come out and just say he's hurt instead of this mystery game that they're playing. That's number one. And if he's healthy, they need to use him more. I also think the way that they use their receivers, basically by telling them go out and make a play instead of trying to scheme them open with combination routes and some different ideas, is frustrating. Their inability on first down to be creative is frustrating. So some of that, yes, you, as Dave Doran did, you tip your cap to Clemson and say their defensive line was superior and was the difference in the game. However, you got to go back and look at your own mistakes and look at what you can fix. And maybe here on Wednesday, I will save the baby from the bathwater if I hadn't already thrown it out. But I do think it's a stinger, man. It's a stinger. You just don't get those chances.
That's right.
You don't get many of them.
You're right. You're exactly right. And from that standpoint, you feel bad for the Wolfpack, but at the same time, I will take the other approach that there's not anybody else on their schedule they can't beat. I mean,
this is where we get into the Wake Forest.
You're saying
can.
This
is where
you're saying
Wake Forest
can.
Florida State conversation.
No. This is a Wake Forest and Carolina.
Yeah.
They're probably going to go 1-1 in those games.
Yeah.
Okay.
I said it on Saturday. NC State will go 1-1 against Clemson and Florida State because if they beat Clemson, they'll turn around and lose to Florida State. And if they lose to Clemson, I have faith in Dave Doran and the way that they respond after a loss. I do. He's proved that's one of the number one things he's proven is that after they lose, he knows how to get his team's attention. He's done a very good job with that every year except 2019. So, but no, I think Wake Forest showed you a whole lot on Saturday down at Tallahassee. A whole lot to me.
Can I just say that didn't we talk last Wednesday in this particular segment that Wake Forest could go to Tallahassee and win?
Yes, we did.
Okay. But nobody ever picks up on that nationally because they become enthralled with what Florida State's done for the first time in 5 years.
Of course.
Okay, got it. Just checking because anybody that's watched Dave Clawson coach Wake Forest should know that Wake Forest is more than capable right now of going to Tallahassee and convincingly beating Florida State, which is what they did. But anybody who outside the walls of the ACC has their head up the proverbial A&M or Auburn rear end, then doesn't understand that because they think Wake Forest is Vanderbilt.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's the furthest thing from it.
And that's why I'm with you to a point with the Wolfpack and the rest of this season. Because if we're going to adhere to that level of thinking, well, I mean, look at Wake Forest has routinely done to NC State. And Joe and I have talked about this. If I'm an NC State fan, I think you called this at the beginning of the season, Julio. If you watch Wake Forest operate, it's not just about Sam Hartman and the mesh and all that stuff. They got dudes at wide receiver. And that's the biggest problem that NC State has right now, is that after Emeka Emezi's departure, there's an expectation, all right, step it up. But they clearly have a ceiling. And I'm watching Sam Hartman make big throws, but I'm also seeing 50-50 ball big catches. And that's something that Wake Forest has at NC State.
From different guys, by the way. They've been running through
the
guys.
State doesn't have.
That at that program.
Williams, Donovan Green, A.T. Perry. I mean, you can roll off.
Sage Surratt.
I
mean,
Dortch. I
mean,
they've
got
right
guys.
now they've got three guys plus a tight end in Blake Whiteheart who I think can make plays. And here's the other thing too: Justice Ellison is a pretty good little sledgehammer at the run back spot, And Michael Juergens is a terrific center and has done a terrific job getting Wake Forest in position to go against some of these teams. Because, be honest with you, I mean, now Florida State didn't have Jared Verse Saturday, but they had everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And, Wake Forest ran the ball at will and scored at will at times. And it was an impressive performance. And, I think State and Wake are on a collision course. You can put Carolina in there. Look, Carolina, if the defensive light is now lit, boys, look, I saw Pitt go down Saturday night. I'm getting my letter jacket on Saturday when they host Virginia Tech. So I don't know where Pitt is, and I certainly don't know where Miami is. But the one thing I know about Carolina, you're going to have to put 30 on the board to beat